water, possibly.
Oh, I just saw Jeff. He pulled in.
Good. How are you? Yeah.
Jeff, we got some weights in the holders there, right there. Yep. We'll do 12 ounces on this guy up on the bow there. And there's a 12 ouncer in the cup holder. Put her on. And I feel like we've gotten so good at catching fish just as an overall group. Now we're talking about things like even rod angle. Like rod angle makes a difference on every boat and every fishery. You look at some fisheries, I'll use Drano Lake as an example. When you fish Drano Lake, your rod holder should be pointing down towards the water. Because if it's up, it changes the snap of the 360. Like if it's, say like that back there, right? In comparison to that. Those are all gonna fish differently. They're gonna be presented differently. And each fishery, man, has its little quirks like that if you figure out on any given day, because it could change from day to day. It could totally change from day to day. Sometimes they want that rod up. Sometimes they want the rod down, you know? And that's like, I mean, we were talking to Trevor. I told Trevor to bring all sorts of rod holders and some of the accessories that Scotty makes so we could demonstrate that, because it's an important part of our fishery now. Before, a rod holder is like, yeah, you put your rod in it. Well, with all the fisheries that we're part of now, like for me in particular, between the tuna, between the halibut, between the lingcod, between salmon fishing, all the different styles of reels, from low profile reels to round reels to electric reels, dude, you gotta have all of that to be ready to, again, switch things out and be as particular as you can, you know? And that is, dude, that's the difference anymore. That's the difference between putting the hammer down or going, I wonder why I didn't get bit. Huh? Weird. What did you bring, Trev? What do you got?
Me?
Yeah. Oh.
So yeah, everything here. We got orca rod holder.
Love the house.
Similar to the Folby, but just works a little different. Got striker. That's the one we recommend for tuna, for halibut, for ocean stuff. Mainly, it's the only one with the metal post all the way through. So if you fall on it, it doesn't break. Not that they do all the time, but sometimes it happens.
What?
We got standard power lock. That's our #1 overall. Just goes everywhere. I got the new one. The little R5 we call this one.
What?
Yep. So this one,
sure.
just a metal piece that opens. You put the rod in here, like that. Pull it up. Good to go. You can tighten her down or loosen it up for, you know, trout fishing. You want to keep it real loose, easy to move. Salmon fishing, usually you tighten it down so it's a little harder to get out.
Hold on, we gotta throw one of those on. I've never seen that.
Yeah. It should work best with maybe that rod, the low pro, but some of the gap here, because it was designed for trout guys, kokanee guys, so the gap isn't super big, so sometimes different reels have a hard time fitting in here, but
that's a good point. That's what we were talking about, right? So you take out like the striker, for example. Grab the striker, and then that guy right there. What's this one called?
The R5?
No, that one.
Oh, this one, the power lock.
Yeah, the power lock. So those are the two I run on my boat for salmon fishing. What's up, brother?
What's up, bro? How you doing?
Trolling around, looking for dinner. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You guys get any yet?
Not yet today.
They're around.
Not a couple the other day, though.
Good. Good. With the power lock and the striker, man, these are really interesting because if you notice on the stern of my boat, I have the power locks, and then in every other position I have my strikers. Now, it's really interesting because if you look at the angle of the back rods and my stern rods, you know, with this guy right here, when you put it at what I'd call the 45-degree angle, right? Or you have just a variation of angles you could get it at. To whereas with these guys right here, the next angle up, it shoots it way up there. And it's they both have their place. Where I not struggle, but the challenge I have with putting the power locks right here in this position, depending on the reel that you have, when you set it in there, actually, Trevor, let's put it in there. So look at this rod angle, how it's nice and flat here, right? And then the fish has something to pull against. But if we take this out, go ahead. Oh, you know how to work those.
Once or twice.
So this is now flat, right? So now look at that rod angle once I put it in there. Look how low it gets. That's not always a bad thing. But at the angle we had it at, fishing at that 45 degrees, like this, then you're more of a downward angled in comparison to that. So what happens when you're talking about boat trolling rods is, and the importance of it is, now when you point a rod directly at the water, sometimes it does trigger more bites, there's no doubt about that. But if you look at that, so now what happens is you take the design of the rod out of the hook set. So when these boat rods are designed, and I don't care who makes them, if it's Okuma, if it's Edge, if it's Lamaglass, G. Loomis, whatever, the design behind all these trolling rods is for the rod to get bit. We're shallowing up a little bit, guys, just kind of keep an eye on them. Rod gets bit, fish does not feel pressure, rod loads up, it gets into the backbone. This case right here, the bite will never get into the backbone because of the angle of it. Line will actually start pulling out of the reel, and the reel will create that hook set opposed to the rod creating that hook set. So those are some things to keep in mind when you're selecting your rod holder. Some other things is on this boat here, on my boat in particular, if you look at my rail, it's a welded rail. And when I mount something to it, my rod holders included, I direct bolt to it. The majority of salmon fishing boats in the Northwest in the open sleds are going to be on a slide rail. And on that slide rail, it's like a sea-locking clamp, I guess we call it. And in order for it to slide, it has to have space between the rail and the bracket itself. Well, for there to be space, when you put weight on there, what happens is it actually tips outward when you put it on there. So then that rod angle turns even more into a rod angle and dangles down even further, okay? So definitely keep that in mind. And I used to fish them all the time when I had my open boat, and I don't suggest this. I used to take them and I used to put them up top just like that. And that's why I used to fish them all. This was before 360 fishing, just to get that angle up a little bit. But Jeff, reel that one in real quick. There's certain things to keep in mind as well, right? So this is a round reel, obviously, and it fits in the cup of that very nicely. That's the way it was designed. A lot of the reels that are on the market today that are very popular are going to be our low profile reels. Okay, if you throw that low profile reel in there, look what it does. So that goes down even lower, right? You don't have the reel sitting on there. So now you actually have the foregrip of the rod coming all the way down there, creating even more of an angle. So those little particulars are things to pay attention to. Does it make a difference when you're catching fish? Sometimes yes, most of the time no. But I have seen, Trevor, is Scotty still making that old school rod holder, like the very basic, I call it the intro level Scotty rod holder?
So that's our small spin cast.
Okay, so it used to have a white twist on the front.
No.
You didn't? No longer making that.
No longer.
Okay,
just the power lock.
Just the power lock.
That'd be the entry level one.
Okay, so that entry level one is now the power lock, which is a good thing because I have lost a rod steelhead fishing, and what happened, it actually wasn't fault of Scotty, but on these old rod holders.
That was fishing.
Oh, those are fish.
First fish on ones.
Yes. And I had a customer who had caught a fish, and he went running back there, and he tripped. And when he tripped, he hit this on those fish-ons, and it broke it off of there. So there was nothing to catch it. And so again, back in the day, I used to put my stuff up here, and this part would actually catch it. And sometimes I'd hear that part catch the reel, and I wouldn't lose them. Well, not that day. That day I didn't have it on there, and that rod just goes burp, burp. And Lee Freeman was fishing by me. He's like, your rod's gone, dude. I was like, yes, it is. Absolutely it is. But anyways, for me personally, if I had one to choose that what I would consider the most versatile is going to be the striker. And what's also nice about the striker is, you know, with the power ones, you're not gonna, it takes a lot to break them. I mean, it takes a lot, but it is plastic, and if you're playing in the salt, as much as people are playing in the salt now, having that metal post come through there is a big deal. So these, again, these strikers, when I'm talking about my bow rods and my middle rods, are definitely the way to go. And if you look at my bow rods, I do have those pointed down because spring Chinook fishing, I want that steady presentation. And I know I'm not going to lose a rod with that cradle that it has here. With all these style of rod holders, what you're getting is your front cradle, or I don't even know, do you guys call it a cradle? I call it a cradle.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, so I call it the cradle. And then you have this, which is creating your tension, holding your rod in place. For everybody new to salmon fishing, the way you get these out, especially when there's pressure applied because of a fish bite. Once that fish bites, it makes it very difficult. There's a lot of pressure back here. It's locked down in this position here. Leave this back part of the rod alone. Don't touch it. Always grab in front of the cradle. So water side of the cradle here, and that rod tip comes straight up and the rod comes out. You do a couple things. Number one, you take it out without any problems. You do see people get excited trying to pull it out, and so they go like this a lot of times, right? And with the pressure of the fish, they're banging the reel up against there. So front of the cradle, lift straight up, and you aren't going to have any issues there. I have not used the clamping style yet. I've never been a clamping fan. You know, when I guided, I had to make it as easy for customers as possible and as functional for customers as possible. And I've always, even when I get on my buddy's boat who have any type of clamping style, I even struggle to get things in and out of the clamp. But I know for certain fisheries, say sturgeon fisheries, where you don't want them to feel you moving the rod as much as they're moving the rod, I know that's a good way to go. And then the accessories, man. Like what type of, like you guys got small risers, you guys got large risers. Talk about those discs.
We got it all. Okay, so the slip discs here. So as Pro was talking about rod angle and making sure it's correct, the way that our rod holders lock with all the gears here in the middle, it doesn't give you infinite adjustment, if you will. So we came out with these slip discs. You put one on each side, go one in here, one in here, so that when they're together, smooth side goes together. You got infinite adjust there. They're smooth and they do get slick, you know, herring oil, weather, all that stuff. So I always recommend to take like 80 grit or 60 grit sandpaper and really rough up both sides so it gives it something to bite to when you cinch it down. The other thing we have here are the offset gears. So you can put it in this one, might be tough to tell, but you got your double ender extender right here, and then the offset gear, and then our standard post. So what this offset gear gives you is the in-between adjustment, but a super positive lock between the gears. So there's no slippage gonna happen at all.
This is where I started.
Where sometimes that slippage happens with the offset, or with the slip disc. So that offset gear is just another option to give a super positive lock and give you, you know, instead of here, it's here, which port side, starboard side maybe work.
Another half what would that, half lock in there, right? Yeah. Half position. Yeah. So with all the standard components that come with it, you have full position locks, and this is about 50% of each of that, right? Yeah. So twice as many options.
Yep. So yeah, then you got like this one, double ender extender. We've got just a stainless straight post. Bag of tricks back here. We've got a post with a gear head. It's a 3/4 turn coupler.
Right there is one of my favorites, yeah.
There. And you got a straight to the standard gear post there. Got a medium extender. I mean, we got another small straight. Like, we're just kind of like the Legos of the rod holder accessory world. Like, you can build it and everything. Yeah.
Because every boat is just that much different. And everybody, let's be honest these days, the majority of people custom order boats. Right? Now, the rails, slide rails are all pretty similar. You know, like if you order a Willie, it's going to be a Raptor, a Nemesis, a Predator, whatever you order from Willie, that rail system is going to be similar. But depending on the width of your boat, depending on your side height of your boat, your gunnel is going to sit differently at a different angle. So some of them will be more flat, some of them will lean a little bit more depending on weight distribution in your boat. You know, all those little accessories make a big deal. So for me in particular, what gets me is I have a 25 horse kicker on that port corner, on that stern port corner. So my boat naturally wants to lean this way, right? When I'm trolling. So these rods are going to be up at a little bit more angle, so that not the slip disc, but the offset gear, I can make this rod look exactly like that rod with the offset gear. So just making those fine-tune adjustments are very important in certain fisheries, but mainly for me is when I see two rods in the middle section, if they don't look exactly the same, it bothers me. I just can't do it. I mean, I will start ripping things apart until it looks perfectly even. And once you get everything in a boat perfectly even, I'll see the bite behind me before people do, just because something feels off. It's like something's not right, you know? But man, just having it perfectly set up, it just makes you feel that much better about your purchase, your investment, the way they fish, the security of your rods, which is a big deal. And then the versatility too, right? You just like, boom, set them all in ocean fishing. I don't got to worry about my electric reels with those strikers. Like, I know I'm not going to lose an electric reel and rod. And when you're talking about that, you're talking rod and reel setup. Each one of them's $1,000 bucks. That's an important part, to not have one of those go in the water. So those strikers for me are a big deal when I'm in the salt. When I'm back in the freshwater, I go strikers. And then our, what are those called again, Trev?
Power lock.
Power locks. I keep forgetting the name, power locks. But yeah. So anyways, guys, check out not only the rod holders and rod holder accessories from Scotty, but they now make a variety of different products and accessories for the boat. One of them being a camera mount, which I actually have up there for GoPros and things like that. Guys in the kayak world, guys looking to get content or just record the day with their buddies. And let's be honest, the best part of a video is watching a rod being taken down, right? So you have that camera going up there. That's a cool extension. We'll show you that here in a second. It's actually up there on the bow, right behind that cooler, that gray cooler. See it up there? So it comes with two pieces, but I actually took the hinge part off just because I didn't need that second hinge. And so then I put the rod holders. See how I mounted the rod holders up there? Check that out, AJ, how I, yep. And then you just click it in there.
Right there. Yeah, when you get double height, it gets really big and kind of really see too much sometimes. But
depending on your configuration, if you want to do like a cool video and like put it down against the water and have a GoPro against the water or something like that, you could do that, you know?
That's cool. That's really cool.
It is. They really are. And, you know, having a guy who's running the camera on the boat's one thing. Having a boat that records for you is kind of nice. Yeah. Oh, no.
That's definitely a fish.
You gotta be on there, yet. I think so. Dude, he's on there, buddy. He's gotta be on there. You there? Reel on that sucker.
right big.
It's not a salmon.
A shad? Chub. Oh, dude.
Like minnow.
Oh, I'm so excited. I was so excited to catch a fish.
Raw fish.
And we caught a fish, but not the right fish. I was like, here we go.
That looked good.
It looked good, didn't it?
Yeah.
Until it didn't. Let's go home. It's 12 o'clock. Dude. That was like Springer bite-ish too. But then when
Never pulled.
it never like went.
No.
But the first initial looked good. Frustrating. But that's Springer fishing. It will happen when it happens, but today is not the day it happened. But we had good ceviche, we had good summer sausage, good pepperoni, and good company. I'll take it.